folks. Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. Iran's current regime has now been in power for 44 years. It's hard to believe, but that 1979 Iranian revolution that brought the Ayatollah Khomeini out of exile and into power was 44 years ago. And in the ensuing decades, the Iranian people have been the main victims of this tyrannical regime, which has really deployed a reign of terror, not only inside Iran against its own citizens, but across the region, of course, and across the world. 44 years, that's a long time, and sometimes it can be easy to remember that before this current radical Islamic regime in Tehran, there was a different government. It was led by the Shah Mohammad Pahlavi. He was obviously deposed in 1979 in the midst of this Iranian revolution. He died in exile here in the United States. His son, Reza Pahlavi, lives in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. He is the crown prince of Iran. He was the heir to his father. He would have succeeded the Shah as the leader of Iran if obviously the revolution had not happened. Now, the Shah's government was not exactly a beacon of democracy and human rights, needless to say, but it was an ally of the United States. It was an ally of Israel and the West, and it was anything but a radical Islamic regime. It was a secular government. Now, Reza Pahlavi, again, I mentioned, lives in Maryland. He is very active in the pro-democracy movement in Iran, working with pro-democracy activists there against the regime. He's a very interesting individual, and he is in Israel right now. Folks, this is an historic visit. We're going to break down the larger ramifications of it, number one. And number two, comments by the current president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, also known as the Butcher of Tehran, and for good reason. What is he saying about two of Israel's three largest cities, Tel Aviv and Haifa? Reza Pahlavi in Israel. Now, people may say, well, you know, he's not really a player. If the Iranian regime were to fall, he wouldn't be the man to step into the void and become Iran's leader. There are varying opinions on this. There are different strains of Iranian opposition throughout the world, in particular based in the States and in Europe. So there are varying opinions about Reza Pahlavi and the prospects of him eventually coming to power in Iran if and when this regime falls. Okay, we get that. But when someone whose title still is Crown Prince of Iran, he was the son and the heir to the last Iranian ruler before the current regime, when someone like that pays a visit to Israel, it is very noteworthy. He arrived yesterday with his wife, and a pretty fascinating whirlwind trip, folks. Number one, Reza Pahlavi is very happy to be in Israel. He tweeted, quoting from the book of Ezra, quoting from the Bible, and talking about King Cyrus, obviously the Persian king who allowed the Jewish people to return to the land of Israel and rebuild the temple. Hey, remember, ancient Persia was modern-day Iran. Folks, Iran is a Bible land, whether it's Esther and Mordecai, Cyrus, Darius. Iran, which was called Persia in Bible times, is a Bible land. Reza Pahlavi seems to certainly recognize this. He talked about the ancient friendship between Israel and Persia under King Cyrus and how he would like to revive that. We've seen the Abraham Accords. He said he would love to see the Cyrus Accords, that's what he called it, with Iran and Israel coming together in peace. That's not going to happen clearly under the current Iranian regime, but you have to love to hear those aspirations at least. And Pahlavi also spent time at a ceremony last night, an annual ceremony that I have attended. It's the Holocaust Remembrance Ceremony at Yad Vashem, Israel's Holocaust Museum. He met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and others. He prayed at the Western Wall. Again, when you think of Iran today, folks, what do you think of? Sadly, because the Iranian people, I just love the Iranian people. a wonderful people. It's home to the fastest growing church in the world, by the way, in spite of relentless persecution. So God is moving there despite all the evil amongst this regime. And really, the current Iranian regime is also the world's main purveyor of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel sentiment today. So to see an Iranian like Reza Pahlavi, the son of Iran's former leader, no less, visit Israel, attend a Holocaust remembrance ceremony, and pray at the Western Wall, all while quoting the Bible, folks, that's a big deal. So we're keeping a very close eye on this. Again, I don't know if Reza Pahlavi really has a chance to one day lead Iran. Who knows? But he is a player in all of this and in opposing the Iranian regime. So he's someone to bear watching, especially as he forges closer ties with Israel.